Deadlock has some hidden math with how their stats work in their game that makes certain item combinations not as good as you think. I've always been a fan of good defensive options in games, so naturally I wanted to see if I could break them in Deadlock as well. Playing a lot of Lady Geist, she gets incredible value from spirit resistance. So stacking things like Frenzy, or the old Frenzy, and improved spirit resistance basically would make you immune to spirit damage. But I noticed I wasn't getting as much spirit resistance as I thought I would. Thinking about it a bit more, it does make sense for resistances to have diminishing returns so that you can't just become immune to damage, but I was curious on exactly how it worked. After some testing, I found that it's pretty simple actually. Every source of resistance is multiplicative with other sources. In math terms, it's basically this. Okay, that's cool and all, but how does that matter when actually playing the game? Well, it basically means that having a ton of small sources of resistance is worse than having a few large sources of resistances. For example, let's say we have improved bullet armor and Titanic magazine. This is 50% from bullet armor and 18% from Titanic magazine, which should add up to 68%. But in reality, it only adds up to 59%. So let's plug it into our equation to see if it works. We'll do 1 minus 0.5, which is the bullet armor, and we'll do 1 minus 0.18, which is the Titanic magazine. Multiply those together, and we get 0.41, which is our damage taken. Well, that doesn't match up with the 59, but if we take 1 minus the 0.41, we get 59%, which is our actual resistance. But what if we replaced improved bullet armor with something that adds up to 50%, with a bunch of smaller items, like point blank, siphoned bullets, improved reach, and bullet shredder? That all adds up to 50%. So it should be the same, right? Well, it actually only adds up to 52%, giving you a total of 7% less bullet resist than if you had just bought improved spirit armor straight up. Now, I know it's only about 7% resistance is lost, but it's important to note the more resistances you have, the more important each point is actually worth. If we have 70% resistance, then getting 15% more halves the damage we take, and we become twice as tanky against that damage type. Does this mean you should avoid small resistance items? Well, no. The correct answer is more nuanced and depends on what you need from your build or during that specific game. Having a smooth build path is valuable in its own right, and a lot of cheap resist items are actually really good for certain heroes, because they provide other valuable stats. But sometimes, you might just need to be as tanky as possible against a certain damage type to win the next big fight in the late game. The cool thing about Deadlock is that a lot of times, there's no 100% correct play or item to build. It's contextual and it depends a lot on your personal playstyle and what you value at that given time in the game.